Burgundy Network podcast.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Burgundy Network podcast, part of the Believe Podcast Network, and we are here against our will to talk about a team that just flat out disappoints us every single week. Brian, we thought it would get better. I said before this game started against the Broncos, this was a must-win regardless, just because the schedule doesn't get any easier. Do you still feel the same after that game?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you had to win that one, especially going into the bye. Like you said, it gets tough again, and it'd feel good to get a win against a team that you should absolutely beat. Obviously, they didn't do that, and now we're going to the bye with tons of questions and not a whole lot of answers, and just kind of feels like we're riding that same cycle all over again.
Absolutely, and we're joined by my guy Darnell from Twitter. Darnell, appreciate you coming on. I know you wanted to vent and get some things off your chest a little bit, just like all of us. What's your mindset right now after that disappointing loss in Denver, man?
I mean, again, we're at a standstill. We're 2-6 here. Obviously, I don't know what would have been the difference if we were 3-5, but I think there's some changes need to be made. Whether that's at the quarterback position, whether that is on some pieces on the defensive side, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And looking forward is we're trying to figure out, what are we watching for? That's the main thing. What are we watching for? Are we just watching to enjoy the game, or are we watching to win games? And I think that, if you're sitting here thinking that we're going to go 9 straight and go 11-6, then you're out your mind.
No.
So we're at a standstill right now. Right. So like I said, man, we're at a standstill, and we're going to figure this thing out, and we're going to talk here on the Burgundy Network podcast. I'm super excited.
Absolutely. There's a ton to talk about. I've been calling for quarterback change. That's something I've been betting on. And I said before this game, I said a 2-interception Taylor Heinicke game is coming. And some guy said put $20 on it. And I did. And it paid out. Now, my other bets didn't hit. So
that one was accurate. That one was very accurate, bro.
Yeah, regardless of what it was. But I said I feel so good about it. My gut said 2-interception game. So speaking of bets, I got to talk about BetOnline, who represents the podcast, our sponsor through Believe. And BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to place all of your sports bets. So regardless if it's Washington, if you stop watching the games, I know I got a ton of Wizards fans and Caps fans out there still. The playoffs are going on for baseball still. The Braves might wrap it up tonight. If you watch this tomorrow, then maybe congrats to the Braves, Brian.
Let's hope.
All the action is on BetOnline. So head over to the new updated website on your mobile device and sign up today and receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BLEAV50, to receive your first bonus. And like I said, guys, UFC fights going on. Don't miss out on any of the action. BetOnline is the fastest way to place your sports bets. BetOnline, where the game starts. And where the game ends is in Washington, more than likely. The Bucs are coming after this bye week. So for me, like, this bye week is like a filter of like just kind of unwinding as a fan, as much as it sucks to say that, but we have to talk about this Broncos game because I feel like it told us a lot and it kind of left a lot of questions. And like you said, Darnell, as a fan, like, what are you watching for the rest of the season? So really in this game, I saw an offense that has been on the decline for weeks, even back to against the Chiefs and that sorry defense, historically one of the worst defenses in NFL history. For the Chiefs, which is just rare. They're collapsing. I would hate to be a Kansas City fan right now, but they got more hope than us. But still, this offense has just been reeling back the last 3 games, only 10 points, 10 points, and 13 points. You have to be able to put up more than that. This isn't, 1980 anymore where you're scoring against, low points in these tough defensive games. You have to be able to keep up with that. So, Darnell, what do you think is the big contributor in this offense lacking? Is it, injuries? Is it the quarterback? Is it Scott Turner? What do you really put in the blame on right now?
I mean, playing back to the All-22, I realized that I can't say Scott Turner is calling bad games. I think some of the calls and the timing when he makes those calls is the issue. Mm-hmm. Also, we have obviously Taylor Heinicke, and he's not seeing the field well. Right. And it's all a part of his growth. I think this was game 8 or 9 of his starting that he started his career. I think that obviously there's a lot that he's missing on the field. There's low throws. There's throws that are behind, like that Dax Milne through the seam. he could have had a touchdown, throw it behind him. You know what I mean? So I think honestly, we can't just blame the offense as well, but also I think there are key things as well that's affecting that. Injuries. We've now Chase Roulier is out for the year. So that's going to affect us in a negative way. I mean, everybody talks about Brandon Sheriff, but I think with Chase Roulier, he's the middle guy. He's the most important guy. He's calling the checks, making the calls to the offensive line. When you don't have that, and you have to put Tyler Larson in, then that's a major issue. So I think that, I think injuries cope with seeing the field from Taylor, and also just relying on just Terry to make all the plays is tough.
Yeah.
It's easy to bracket him. Obviously, you put your corner there. You have your safety over the top, shielding
Double
over
every
to
team.
him.
Yep.
It's a double every game. And sometimes it surprises me when he gets 100 yards. Just shows how good he is. Shout out to Terry. But it just shows that we have a lot of growth to do, and we're not there. But also, it also is a bigger question: is where do we go from here from a quarterback standpoint? Do we draft? Do we sign a veteran in the offseason? And it's crazy. We're talking about the offseason in the middle of the season.
That's sad.
But that's where we're at right
That's
now,
what we're
right?
used to.
We're at a point where we're looking at Ole Miss quarterback, and we're at a point where we're looking at quarterbacks from Liberty, Malik. And so, we're just at a point where now we need answers, and we need to know now what's going on. But also we need to understand that when you're on the field and you're getting paid to make these plays, you need to make them when they're there. So I won't let Scott turn off the hook, but I mean he's an okay coordinator, very different, has different ways, different styles of play calling. So I can't get mad at that. It's very creative, more creative than Jay Gruden's offense.
Oh yeah.
But at the same time, I think that I think it was it? I don't know if that was the third or fourth. I think it was the second. It was in the goal line. I think we ran 2 slants and then Terry ran it out. And I think he caught the ball and somebody hit him or he didn't catch the ball. It's just the timing and when you make these calls, we're in the goal line. Run the ball.
Yeah.
I don't know if you paid attention, but Jared Patterson was gaining 2 to 3 yards per play. So I just think that it's, we got a lot of work to do, but it's kind of confusing when it's like the plays are there to be made and we're just not making them.
Yeah, someone said to me on Twitter today, like they blame solely Scott Turner. And I said the 3 most important people in Scott Turner's offense is Logan Thomas, Terry McLaurin, and whoever's playing quarterback, regardless who that is. Sure. And would you agree, Brian?
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say it's kind of like which came first, the chicken or the egg. Did all these injuries occur and that has affected the play calling? Is the play calling bad to where it doesn't matter who's out there? I feel like there's so much going on. It's hard to, like you said, blame it on any one guy. Taylor Heinicke hasn't been making the throws, but like you said, Logan Thomas has been out. Yeah. A huge red zone threat. And where have they struggled in the red zone? I mean, they haven't had Curtis Samuel basically all year outside of kind of Atlanta and a bit of New Orleans. All these things have contributed. And it's not to let anybody off the hook, like you're saying, Darnell. It's not to let Scott Turner off the hook. It's not to let Taylor Heinicke off the hook. It's not to let any of these guys off the hook, but it's just they have not been fully there. And that's not an excuse. I mean, we saw the Cowboys do what they did with their backup quarterback. So there's absolutely
keep up with the Bengals the way they did with.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you can't make excuses. You got to figure it out at the end of the day. And this team is just not doing it. Like you said, the offensive futility is just absolutely mind boggling. To cross the 30 that many times or whatever the stat is now over these last few games and to not come away with more than 10 points is absurd. And so there's so many things going wrong. It's hard to, we could all sit here and I think every Washington football team could sit here and pick one thing. And I think everybody would be right. This team is just doing everything wrong. They're getting everything wrong. They're getting all these bad breaks. It's frustrating, man. And it feels like we're talking about the same thing every week in and week out. It's if it's not one thing, it's the next thing. And here we are with a really bad football team going into a bye. And like you said, half a season left and it feels like it's already over.
I mean, absolutely. I'm always in draft mode. Like, that, Brian, like nonstop draft content, like even more now. Yeah. So like I spend my free time. I'm like, Kenny Pickett. Like I'm going to the Duke Pitt game this weekend, which is like 3 hours away, just because I'm like, I want to see
him live.
Exactly. Yeah. I want to see that boy sling that rock against a terrible team. I
want to see him take the glove off and see how he throws without the glove.
Kenny 2 gloves, man. That's one of
It's
those
like
weirdest
the
things
way
I've ever
Kenny
seen.
Pickett is making throws. It's like, whoa, I think we may need to
Exactly.
draft him. But at the same time, the college is much different. You can't run away from Chase Young when he's chasing you down like that. So it's
Let,
tough.
let me
That's true.
let me throw this out there. Speaking of quarterback, if you had to bet right now on November, what is it, second, third, whatever it
Mhm.
is it a veteran or is it a rookie that is starting next year? Or let's not say starting, but is your main guy next year?
Is the plan.
Yeah.
I would say if we're talking the plan, what I think the plan is, and it's kind of typical and it's sad to say, I think they're going to draft a quarterback. Right now, we're stabbed in the we're posted in at the number 5 pick, right? And let's say things continue to dwell this way, we'll be somewhere in the top 5. I think what they'll do is probably bring Ryan Fitzpatrick back, and then also draft a quarterback and have him sit for a year. Because of the injury, it kind of gives Ryan Fitzpatrick a leeway because we kind of don't know what would have developed into that. And then piggyback on today, the news that we got earlier, there was also almost a trade for Mitch Trubisky. So, which kind of would have been crazy. But at the same time, I think the plan is going to be do it again. You're going to have to draft a quarterback that you really believe in. And at this point, hearing from JP Finley, the beat writers for the Washington football team, sounds like they're not in love with any of the quarterbacks in this draft. But at this point, you can't wait another year. You hope Spencer Rattler may come out. That may be somebody with a strong arm that has an attitude problem. That's not really a team guy, from what I've heard.
Shoot, he might fall like the third round.
Right, from what I've heard through different channels. Caleb Williams is a guy I know personally that plays for them now from the DC
DMV
area.
guy.
But
Oh yeah.
yeah, so I think honestly the plan is going to be you're going to have to draft a quarterback, whether you like him or not. You're going to have to develop them. I wrote a whole list of type of players we haven't developed yet, and we don't know where
It's
they
a
are.
lot.
But you have to develop them. You have to draft the quarterback, develop him, and then go with a veteran. Because right now, you have to understand, Deron Payne's coming up on the last year of his contract. You got Montez Sweat. You can also extend his contract coming up here. You got Chase Young going into year 3. People, whether we're thinking about it or not, they're getting older. Yeah, they're 22, but they're going to be looking for some money, and I don't think you can
Oh
pay
yeah. You
everybody.
can't pay the
So
whole line.
your
Somebody's
time
gonna be gone the next few
exactly.
years.
So your time is dwindling, and let's say you lose Tim Settle in the offseason, then you end up losing Deron Payne because you can't pay him. Then we have a hole at the defensive tackle spot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Something you can
it's
fill like free
yeah,
agency and
for
stuff.
sure.
But
You can definitely feel. You can definitely feel. But at the same time, we gotta take advantage of this right now. So you gotta draft a quarterback, or either bring Ryan Fitzpatrick back, or go get Ryan. Let's go, Matt Ryan. Or get someone in that nature.
yeah, I agree. I put out a tweet at 12 o'clock today just because I was thinking about it, and you brought up a good point, like developing guys. I said, like, are we just missing on draft picks? Or are we just not developing picks? And I got 145 votes, and 52% of people said not developing picks. Because I'm thinking, like, we expected a big jump for Chase Young this year. We expected Jamin Davis to come and have an impact right away. Like, I'm thinking about some guys, the natural guys like Jonathan Allen, he's going to do his thing. Terry McLaurin, like, I feel like they were guys that are ready for the league. And, Jonathan Allen being an Alabama guy, these Alabama guys come in the league ready to play because of Nick Saban. I feel like that's a lot of that, but I feel like also like Washington has missed on picks. It happens. Like you have your Haskins, you have your Gushes.
Absolutely.
But if we do draft our quarterback, like we absolutely can't pull a Chicago in, what Nagy does and just not build around him and put the strengths around him. So I'm not gonna lie, like I'm nervous. Like if our plan is to get a guy like Marcus Mariota or something boring like that, like there's no excitement out of me next season at all. Like I'm like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
We're riding with Marcus Mariota to be an average, barely above 500 team, if that. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what makes me think you got to try to go all in on a guy like Aaron Rodgers or Russ Wilson. I don't know that he'll come here. I don't know if it'll happen, but you're absolutely right. All those stop gaps do not excite me, and
they've done that too long.
Yeah, it's been like that for 25, 30 years.
Before I was born. Yeah. I completely agree. So obviously quarterback is a big glaring need right now. I'm glad we all agree with that. I think just about everyone does. There's a few Heinicke high people still out there, which I'm not sure what exactly they're doing. They just put too much money into the merch. But another problem that is somehow getting worse is this kicking game, with Blewett getting 2 kicks blocked in the same game. Like having 1 blocked is absurd. Having 2 is
And-
just like this is worse. Like
And
we
now
pulled
3 of
it.
them total.
Yeah, 3 total kicks in 2 games blocked.
Hmm.
Like that's not normal, and that kind of screams out like maybe this is why this guy hasn't made an NFL kick in like 3 years now. Do you think Ron is at all regretting sending Hopkins to the Chargers?
I don't know that he regrets cutting Hopkins, but you got to think that he probably wishes he had a better option. I mean, I think Hopkins was not good and was not getting the job done. I think that can be true while still saying that Chris Blewett is not a good kicker. I mean, I think
Sly
both
just
are,
became available from the 49ers. He was a
yeah,
Carolina Panther guy, so you never know.
Yeah.
But Ron said they're not
exactly.
looking for kickers. For
Yeah,
whatever reason.
I don't get that. I don't know why you wouldn't be looking at kickers. If my guy got 2 blocked in one game and then 3 total, I'd have him out the door already. You know, it just, I think they fumbled it. You know, whether they didn't do their job to find a good replacement and they just wanted to cut Hopkins to make everybody happy. I don't know if that's the case, but Hopkins wasn't good. I mean, he was not consistent.
It was when
but
he was missing is what was so big.
Right. And yeah, you can say the 84%, but that we can all run back through different kicks in our heads that he blew. Probably should have blown the Giants game. I mean, all this stuff. Since we've been over all that. But to bring in Chris Blewett and this guy is getting him blocked left and right, that looks awful. And so yeah, you gotta sometimes cut your losses and say, hey, we made a mistake. And I don't understand why they're not looking at a kicker right now. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but not a whole lot this team does make sense. So here we are with a bad kicker. And unfortunately, kicker is at the 6th or 7th spot of things that are going wrong, to where Chris Blewett could probably have another 3 blocked, and it probably won't matter.
Well, we'll wait. We'll wait.
I mean, do you agree with me? I mean, the kicker is the least of your one of the least of your problems when you can't do anything else right. It doesn't matter what your kicker does. So Ron's going to kind of get away with this because they're not going to be in games, and I don't think the kicker is going to affect much of these games that they're getting their doors beat off.
Yeah. But I will say the defense, Darnell, in this game gave Washington plenty of opportunities. I'll say this was easily Landon Collins' best game. Playing more of that linebacker role. I don't know if it's finally just sunk into him to where he's like, all right, this is kind of my role until I'm gone next year. But 8 tackles, 5 solo, 1 sack, 2 for a loss. Like I said, just a phenomenal game. He was all over the place. When he's near the line of scrimmage, he makes plays happen. And same with Jonathan Allen balling out. Has his 6th sack this season as a D tackle. That is so hard to do.
That's crazy. Very hard to do.
If you think in today's NFL, if you're putting pressure up the middle, 75% of quarterbacks are well willing enough to go to the outside, and that's usually where the sack credit goes, is these edge rushers. So for Jonathan Allen to be able to get off these blocks and just sink a pocket by himself like that is just flat out disgusting. To me, he's hands down our best player. Him and then Terry, 1 and 2, easily.
Absolutely. But, I think that him causing that havoc in the middle of the defensive line is a great thing, right? But the question to me is, what's going on with Deron Payne? Is he not making those necessary adjustments? I feel like some of the defensive line stunts that they do kind of worked for John Allen a lot with the twists and things of that nature. He's able to bounce off that guard and get to the quarterback. But we need affection from both. I think John has just showed that, hey man, you can't just I'm not just going to bull rush you every time. I have actual moves. I can actually make guards get off of me and derail off of a block. And I think that's important. And that's critical because it's going to help Chase Young and it's going to help Montez Sweat. Again, if you're lined up on that side, instead of trying to just block him with the guard or just block him with a center, now you have to double. Now that gets Sweat on the outside, allow him to have one-on-one. Now, if he's on Chase side, there's now Chase get allowed to get one-on-one. Now they have to win their matchups, but I think that can help us in a positive way. So I think having John just come out like that with 6 sacks, which is kind of crazy. It's also the question is, I'm looking at Deron Payne. What can he do better? I feel like he's more of a run stopper, but I think he does have some pass rush ability, but he just has to display that more often. And if we can get both of those rolling, and then eventually Chase and Sweat will get on a roll here, I think we'll make some major noise. But again, I'm so super happy to see John being so effective early on in the season.
Yeah, and you can really see that connection, like I said, going back to Alabama with Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen, how well they play next to each other. They both are phenomenal in the run game. Like how easy they get off blocks and they plan it. Like they'll be in a block, and as soon as they know they have to move, they can break hands, get off the blocks, and just fill gaps. Like I love watching their tapes. When I was doing the scouting academy, that Deron Payne was one of the guys they had us watching on the DN. I mean, for a D tackle because of how well they really stopped the run. So I love watching them play. But I will say, Chase Young getting that strip sack, he didn't really have much impact in the game until that, but it is a big impact. And like you said, having that pressure up in the middle gets the outside going. But even still, with the strip sack, we get the ball in such good position, we still can't win the game.
It's brutal.
So how frustrating is that?
I think piggybacking to Chase Young, I think he's a victim of his own success. I think the crazy part is that he had so much success last year. To be in the NFL is so hard to do it again. That's what make you from good to great. I think he's on his way to being great, but I think so many people have been so hard on him so far is because you've made so many plays. A lot of the play he made in Denver, yeah, it was late, but it still was critical. Let's say we give Aaron Rodgers back the ball with 2 timeouts or 1 timeout, I believe. He can be able to get that move 27 yards within the next 2 to 3 plays, and then we win the ball game. So I think it's kind of tough to see that we have opportunities and we're not capitalizing on them. But again, that piggybacks. You got to understand we have an injured offensive line, right? And so most of the pressure that Chase really here was holding down, that Sam Cosmi was holding down.
Yeah, Sadiq Charles was just letting guys by him.
Just letting the guys by. But I think looking back on the film, I don't think that he had a bad game. I think he had bad moments, absolutely. Yeah. But again, first start, so it's going to be a little rough for him. I'm thinking Ron is probably going to leeway to him to be in the right tackle next year and move Sam over to left. But I think that, it's tough to see because, again, we're in games where we just want to win as fans. I mean, we just want to win as coaches. I'm a coach as well. So I think it's tough to see the opportunity that we have and we're just not capitalizing on it.
I think I've used this analogy before. It's kind of like a baseball game when you have a starting pitcher go 8, 2-hit innings, and then in the 9th inning, your closer gives up, a walk-off. I mean, that's kind of what it feels like. The defense has done its job. I mean, they made Aaron Rodgers look human. They frustrated Patrick Mahomes, especially in that first half. The Broncos, really weren't doing much themselves on offense, but then the offense comes in and can't do anything. I mean, it's like your pitcher, keep going back to baseball. It's like your pitcher shutting everybody down, but then you can't get any offense going. You can't get a timely hit. The offense can't get out of its own way to go make something happen, to take advantage of these big plays that the defense has started to provide you. That they've kind of, you kind of look and you're like, okay, this is that defense that we saw last year against some good quarterbacks. I mean, we saw them play well against a couple of these decent quarterbacks, and now all of a sudden the offense, well, not all of a sudden, we've seen it start to happen slowly but surely.
Yeah,
right, yeah, the offense has just gotten worse and worse, and it's awful that they can't put the full game together. But you're absolutely right. You give Aaron Rodgers, you give Tom Brady that ball back, you're like, oh my God, we blew it. We just let them have it. We don't have that. And it just, it goes back to the quarterback position and how wrong they've gotten it so many times, to where I feel like we're going to have this same conversation multiple times before this year is over, because they don't have a quarterback that scares a defense. They don't have a dynamic offense that is going to scare defenses. And it's just the truth. And it's, I think that's what we're going to see the rest of the way. I think we're going to see this defense probably frustrate Tom Brady a little bit, but it's not going to matter because they can't keep up and they can't score enough to make it worthwhile. And that's so frustrating to say, that there's not, like, you can't really get excited.
Yeah, we can ball out, but it's going to be for nothing. That's exactly what it's going to be. But, and I'll say, like, obviously the defense has been bad all season long. I mean, Bobby McCain dropping the easiest interception of his life. That, like, you can't do that. Like, good teams don't do that. That's like the play they play. Are we allowed to write
about that, Bobby? Are we allowed to write about that? I just want to make sure.
Dang on well, someone's right about that. But, like, you don't see these really good teams make bad plays like that. And, like, when you do, it's, like, shown over and over and over. I'm talking, like, the Stephon Diggs catching Minnesota. Like, these big plays, you see it over and over again. Like, it just doesn't happen. But bad teams find really bad ways to lose the game, whether it's getting the ball back late because of a great strip sack and you still can't score getting the ball in your opponent's territory, or you're dropping easy interceptions like that. Like, it's just we were flat out a bad team,
It,
and that's what's like frustrating me. I want to see some kind of plan, some kind of progress, not a well, I think we did pretty good compared to the last few weeks. Like,
and
no, you actually didn't do good at all. That's why we lost.
Right.
and here's the other thing: you put all of it together. What if Chris Blewett made both of those field goals? Then all you need is a field goal with that fumble. I mean, there's just so many
Or we
ways this
don't go
team.
for it on the first drive on fourth down. Like,
Yeah,
kick the
there's
field
so
goal from
many
the 19.
there's so many ways that this team shoots itself in the foot. Like it's trying to find a new place to shoot it, and eventually they're going to shoot their feet off. There's not going to be anything left. I don't know what they're
Right.
going to do.
Right now, we got nubs down there. Ain't no
Oh
foot
my
left.
gosh.
It's bad. But so that's what I was really wanting to talk about is like, Darnell, you mentioned what are we watching as fans? Like what are your expectations for the season? Like what are you really looking for? Because like for me, it's what's the plan moving forward? Because we're not making the playoffs. Like I was talking about it at work today.
It's not happening.
Someone on Twitter was like, well, we can still make the wild card. There's going to be 2 NFC West teams, more than likely, maybe 2 NFC South teams. Like, you just never know. Like, if there's a second team from the NFC East coming, it's not us.
I think surprisingly, right? Like the NFC hasn't been as good as we thought. Seahawks has problems. The Rams aren't making every trade possible to get more talent, and they already have a dozen of talent.
They're just
So
all in, yeah.
I think as fans, and I'm not one of those fans, again, I'm trying to start my own podcast world. So I'm not one of those fans that's delusional. That's like, oh man, we win these next games. We're going to win 9 straight. I'm not begging my money on that. I'm not putting no money, not even $1 on that, Josh. Not even $1. Not even $1, B. But what I would say is that I just need to see some entertainment. I need to see some excitement. I need to see Taylor roll out the pocket, make a throw like he did that beautiful throw to DeAndre Carter in the corner
That's
of the end zone.
gorgeous. Yep.
Gorgeous. He has plays like that. Let me see your potential. Again, we know that you're probably going to be a backup in this league, but again, a year ago you wasn't even in the league. So I think for as fans, we just want to see some type of improvement. Like we know where we are right now. We're 2-6. We're lower than the Giants. We're lower than the Eagles. So, and they're terrible teams right now. So
Giants have nobody playing.
Have nobody, and so for some reason Daniel Jones just cooks us every single time, right? But I'm just looking for some improvement. I'm looking for some plays to be made. Like I think at the first game when you had, well, the stadium was still empty, but you still had a lot of fans there, more Washington fans, right? That was excited about the season. Once Ryan went down, I believe for me, even though he has ups and downs when he plays the game, but he's a veteran. He's been in the game so long. I think my excitement for the playoffs kind of went down. But I wanted to trigger and see what the defense would do. And I just don't. What are we doing in the defensive backfield? I love Cam Curl, but Bobby McCain, you're dropping wide open interceptions. What are we doing there? Why don't we make a change? Get him out. Maybe put DeSager Everett in. All right. So maybe go with Dirk Forrest. Now he's back. He's a rookie.
Jeremy
now he's
Reeves,
activated
somebody,
up the
yeah.
Somewhat Reeves. I love Reeves. And so it's more so we paying all this money to William Jackson. And it seems like every time he's in mad coverage and when he's in zone, it's like they're just picking him apart. So I think as fans, we're just looking for some excitement. We want to see some plays being made. Shoot, we want to see some positivity. If Dan Snyder could go, we'll be happy too.
Hey.
We'll be happy too.
At FedEx Field, like
we'll be happy. Exactly. There will be a freaking party down the street on Morgan Boulevard, the train station, because Dan Snyder is gone. You know what I mean? So I think that we're just looking for some improvement, man. And Ron is now saying he goes from saying yeah, we want the fans to be back. We got to put a better showcase on the field so that our fans can come back. Now he's saying, well, the fan base is up to them if they want to be there for it. So you already have a shaky fan base going on right now. That's not even a good. That's not
We're
a good quote
edge.
to say. We're on edge. Every game we got problems. I've never known that we'd be so concerned about who we hire as a doctor or a medical trainer ever. We having problems. We worry about trainers. We're worried about mental health specialists, which is important. Mental health is important. But we're worried about everything else as a fan base, but on the field. So that just goes to show that out on the field has to be better. So I just think that we're looking for some improvements. Obviously, we're looking for more points to be scored. And also, as a personal fan, I'm looking for Terry McLaurin to get over 1,000 yards and go to the Pro Bowl for the first time.
That would be awesome. That's
Yeah.
just like one little nugget that helps it sucky
One
season
little
get a little
nugget.
better.
One
Well,
nugget, man. One chicken
I
nugget from Chick.
just to piggyback off of that, I think it absolutely is evaluation time and who's going to be part of this
Your
team
future.
moving forward. If we, Ron has flip flopped a lot with some of the stuff he says. Are rebuilding? Are we going for it? Whatever. If they really are rebuilding, if they're trying to create a team that'll have some sustained success, you got to fill those in with some guys like DeAndre Carter, who's had a pretty good year and has made some plays. So I'm going to start looking for that. Does Jamin Davis, does he kind of come on? Does he improve as the year goes on? Can De'Ami Brown get back on the field? Can some of these young guys contribute? Because, let's face it, the fan in me obviously wants them to reel off 9 games. The fan in me has those 5 divisional games in the back of my head. I want
we
those.
can sneak in.
I want, yeah, exactly. But I know that that's not the case. They just don't have it. And so it's really evaluation and moving forward. It's like, what are you going to give to me? What are you going to bring to the table? And, I want to see some young guys playing. I'm with you. I want to see Derek Forrest. I want to see a couple of other guys to see what they can bring to the table, because let's face it, you're in evaluation mode. And those are going to be the bright spots. We're going to get beat by the Buccaneers, but who flashed? Who made a play against Tom Brady? Who shut down Gronk for a second, or who checked Mike Evans. So yeah, I want to see a couple of bright spots throughout these games. It sounds like such a loser mentality, but I mean, that's where this team is at. I need some bright spots in individual cases.
But also, it's piggybacking. I don't mean to cut you off, Josh.
Go.
To the question you asked 8 hours ago, are we missing on draft picks, or are we just not developing picks? Like, if you're saying
it is both too,
and it's both. But if you're saying, hey, I don't want to lose draft capital, now we're 2-6. You have no reason not to put them on the field, like Brian stated. I need to see what we have. It's no point of just sitting them down on the bench now. We have starters in there that's not getting the job done. Shoot, Benjamin St. Juice is on a rookie contract. He's probably our best defensive back right now. So
he's balling.
Well,
go ahead.
And on top of that, Cosme, has played pretty well. I mean, Jamin
right,
Davis.
Exactly.
So yeah, I mean, I think that there are some positive draft picks that have panned out, but it is frustrating. I think it is a case of both things that.
Right.
You hit on a couple, but you swing hard and you miss on a bunch too.
But I have a whole list since the 2021 and the 2020 and the 2021 draft class. And these are the guys from a negative standpoint, or just hasn't proven yet, that I'm still in question about since Ron stated draft capital. Sadiq Charles, his first game at right tackle. Now we have AGG. I don't know if he's played maybe 1 or 2 professional games outside
Biggest
of the preseason.
disappointment for me, man.
Right? So we got Khalid Hudson, got scored in the flats on against Denver. Right? We got Keith Ishmael. He's supposed to be a center, a guard. We don't know. You know what I mean? So we got James Smith-Williams, had an incredible game. A sack, had a couple run stops. I think he really did great. On Sunday, you got Jamin Davis. He has spurts, but it's like, is he playing more consistent? Is he learning? We're kind of still trying to figure that out. De'Ami Brown is injured. We obviously Derek Force just got back. Cameron Cheeseman. I don't think we should have released Nick Sundberg. Obviously, now I've never known more of a kicker process than I know now. I think Ron has said kicker process, the whole word.
Oh, geez, yeah.
500 times since Nick Sundberg has been cut, right? And since we've got Cameron Cheeseman, then we got William Bradley King. Have you seen him yet?
Nope.
We got Shaka Tony. Have you even seen him yet?
Big time athlete.
Right. And so that's from the 2020 to 2021. And right now we're only banking on, let's say, Chase Young, Antonio Gibson, Cam Curl. We got Sam Cosme, Benjamin St. Juice, John Bates, and Dax Milne is showing some spurts. That's just out of the Ron's draft class. Oh, yeah. So it's more negatives than positives, or it's more I don't knows than positives. So right now, if they're healthy, as Brian stated, get them on the field. We need to see that, because the more you waste and you're giving these guys speeches that, hey, man, we're still in it. I know these guys are getting paid. When that check come on, when they get that check Saturday before they get that plane, that gold ticket, you seeing on photos on the page, I'm sure when they bank those checks, they're more so like, yeah, I'm ready to get paid rather than we're going to the playoffs at this point. So it's more so like Brian stated, you got to have faith in the coaching staff. You got to have faith in their process. But it's more negatives than positives, more cons than pros, in my opinion.
Yeah, and for me, like that was the big question. Like, are they going to let go of AGG like going into the season? Like, well, they haven't played them, so like they really don't know what they have, like stuff like that. And I agree. Like your linebacker core sucked, before Boston got hurt. Like, where's Khalil Hudson? We see him on special teams make some plays, but like just throw him out. Like, see what you have. And I get it. You don't want to like cost big plays in the season, but as bad as the linebacker core was and has been for years, like you would think we've at least seen some sample
Yeah.
of Khalil Hudson in the last 2 years, but we haven't seen anything like that. So I think you're right on that too.
I think so many times during the game, and I think this is a negative, that I see a guy flash across the screen like a 96 or an 18 or 15, and I'm like, oh, Dax Milne, AGG, James Smith-Williams. And too many times I'm like, oh, yeah, I forgot about that guy. And it's like, it feels like there's a lot of that. There's a lot of like guys that you think could contribute or haven't been put in the right situation. And it's just this like mad circle that just keeps going around and around. Kind of like what I said at the beginning, like, are we developing them? Are they not good enough? Are they not being put in the right situation? It just feels like there's so much of that maybe that's what this second half is. Maybe they realize, they change some things and try to get guys in the right positions. But, so far it's just been like, it feels like a lot of odd shaped pieces in the wrong shaped holes.
Yeah. And you're trying to win games, but you're also trying to see like what you have. Like, I feel like it's really hard, like position as a coach. Like I'm sure, like I don't coach, but Darden, I'm sure you could attest to this. Like you're at a position like you want to win games, and like that's obviously the main goal, like you said. But you're really like seeing what you have in each player, like every game too. You're like, hey, when we were down 3 touchdowns, so and so like was balling out every play. Like remember against the Bills, who was it? Baldy was like talking about the effort on the D line. Like nobody was getting there. Like after the play, like someone caught the ball, the D line just kind of quit on the play. Like I feel like right now you need to see like who was just given all that effort to be a part of this team. So this is the remaining schedule left. We have the Bucks, Panthers, Seahawks with Russ. He's going to be back, by the way. Raiders, Cowboys, Eagles, and then Giants to end the season, of course, with all that NFC East gauntlet there. But then you have all these injuries that we've talked about. Chase Roullier being out for the season. Bostic's been out for the season. Is Curtis Samuel going to be back? We don't know. Is Fitzpatrick going to be back? Who knows? The MRI next week. I think it's going to be like another 2 or 3 weeks. Like that, he's a little older.
That's crazy. Yeah. And to piggyback on that, we played my team is George C. Marshall High School in Falls Church, Virginia. We played a team. I can't remember the name of the team. That Ryan Fitzpatrick's son plays on the team, and he's the backup quarterback on JV, I believe. And I saw Ryan Fitzpatrick in the stands in crutches, and this was only 2 weeks ago. So I knew exactly that he was not playing no time soon, and I don't think that he's going to be playing anytime soon. No. I think they're prolonging it. I think that they just want to have an excuse to let people know, hey, he may come back. Hey, he's getting the MRI coming up here. I've seen him 2 weeks ago, and I'm gonna tell you, bro, it's still in crutches. I seen the beard all the way across from where I was on the sideline, bro. The way he was limping and the way he's on crutches from now. What was that 2 weeks ago? What week? Week is 9, which week 7, week 7 or 6, right? Like he was still in crutches from week 1, right? When he walked off the field, gave us a deuce.
That's why they canceled the first MRI too. Like they're like he was in crutches. They even said like what you said, he was in crutches. He wasn't ready. There's no point of getting an MRI if you know exactly it's going to say he's not ready. So they were waiting until next week.
I don't know about you guys. I'd be shocked if he played this season. At a certain point, you're just like pack it in. I don't see him playing, especially at his age. I don't think it can help him. You know what I mean? Like he comes back and he I don't think it's going to be good when he comes back. I don't know. I just don't think there's any point in playing.
I mean, again, at the school, I think it's called there. It is Langley. That's in McLean, Virginia. I don't think he's coming back, bro. Like I saw him with my own eyes, and the way it looked with that being like almost the middle of the year. If he comes back, he may come back, week 14, week 15. At that point, season is over. Yeah. So you might as well.
Unless Ron just gets desperate and then NFC East runs like, guys, I got to make the playoffs. His fan base hates me.
Right. But
Ryan,
again,
I'm going to feed you to the hyenas, bro. Like, just go out there and win a couple NFC East games for us.
So the thing that is holding me back there is that the Cowboys are too good. It's not like last year. You're not going to, even if you get hot at the end, you're probably still going to finish at least 2 games behind the Cowboys. That's why it makes me think that a guy like Ryan Fitzpatrick is already thinking about what's next. Do I come back to Washington next year fully healthy? Am I looking somewhere else next year? That's why I don't see any point in him playing, or even, if I were him, let's say, I don't know why you would try to rush back to this team.
Yeah, no, and I agree with Darnell. Like bring in Fitzpatrick next year, and then I could see the rookie quarterback. If he doesn't start right away, I think you could fade him in like week 3, week 4, what the 49ers should have done. I think they should have pulled the trigger on Lance a while back, but you've seen that. And that's what they did with Tua. They said, look, we've got to get him out here. This is the guy we drafted. Like, we have to do this. I'm not a big fan of the sitting a guy for a year just to sit there, just say, oh, he's not ready kind of thing. Like, get him reps, get him out there. Like, you can wait a couple games, but I would love Fitzpatrick to come back as that, backup role. And I think he would absolutely do that. He's done it with Tua. I don't think he ever was like, oh, like, hate Tua, I hate this team, I want to get out kind of thing. Like, he was like, oh, you want me to get in the game? All right, cool, watch this. Like, pull my face mask, I'm going to launch it down the field. Like, he's that, like, he's been in the league too long to be that kind of guy. And we talked to Jason Cable, he said the same thing. Like, a guy like Fitzpatrick, he's going to do whatever you ask him to do. Like, he's just that kind of team guy and a leader. So, does he come back? I don't know. But, like, for me, all these injuries that we do have, like, Logan Thomas is banged up. He might come back 2 or 3 weeks.
They stated today he'll be practicing after the bye.
So we'll see.
We'll see.
We need him back.
Yeah.
So I hope De'Ami Brown, Cosme, Terry McLaurin's hamstrings acted up a ton. Like, there's just
Gibson,
so many questions.
Who has not been right all year.
8 carries? Think. No,
yeah.
He's not 100%. He's like 75% right now.
He's like 60%.
Yeah.
If anything.
So for me, like, do you go all in, Brian, and say, like, hey, we still need to win games, but, like, I know these injuries are adding up? Because, like, the Giants, I don't think they're quitting. Like, they have all these injuries. They could use every excuse in the world because they have no guys on offense starting. So, like, they're not giving up, though. Like, so do you think, like, we should do the same? Like, do you think we're still just like, hey, just full send?
I think you have to fight and you have to compete. And as much as we don't think it's going to happen, those division games could contribute down the line. This team, I don't think is going to quit. I don't think Ron's going to let them, but at the same time, you got to be realistic. And so I think that it's going to be a kind of a mixture of evaluation, but also going for it. I mean, they should still be able to compete with Carolina. Sam Darnold's not very good. I don't know that he's healthy. Seattle still has issues even when Russ is out there. I know he'll be back. These games that they could still possibly compete, I don't think they're going to win, but you got to at least compete. So I think there's a healthy balance there. I think it'll be obvious if these guys phone it in, and I think that's when you start to lose people and you start to really get in a bad spot. So I don't think Ron's going to let that happen. But I think at the same time, him and some of these players have to think about the future too. So I think there's going to be a healthy balance of, all right, let's think about 22 while still trying to field a competitive roster out there these last 9-10 weeks.
Exactly.
So I have a question for you guys.
Go ahead.
And it's just piggybacking on, where we are as an organization. Do you believe, I mean, obviously, Josh, you watch a lot of film. And Brian, I'm pretty sure you're knowledgeable of the quarterbacks coming out here in this draft. Do you believe there's a quarterback that you believe in that can lead a franchise at some point that's coming out in this upcoming draft? Yes. Is there someone that you love? Is there someone that you feel as though can make a difference if they do get drafted here by this organization? Because, again, it looks like we're going to be drafted in the top 5. Is there a top 5 quarterback prospect here? From my research, I haven't found him, but maybe you found it, Josh.
I think Matt Corral is absolutely that guy, especially if you watch him against Auburn when he got hurt. He came back. Yeah. Like, that dude was not going to – he did not want to lose that game.
He did.
And that was his, like, worst game stats-wise. Like, that dude is just on fire. But he does have Lane Kiffin, who's one of the best offensive minds in college football. Like, he knows how to make his quarterback successful. You saw really bad Matt Corral last year, but, this year he's played lights out. Same with Kenny Pickett. He took that huge leap out of nowhere, kind of like a Zach Wilson-esque like leap. So I think there's definitely an answer in the draft. I like this draft class more than others. You've got guys like Phil Jakovic from Boston College who got hurt early. He's out for the season. You get guys in like the second, third round that I'm really high on that a lot of people don't know about. Grayson McCall out of Coastal, Sean's up. There's a lot, but like for me, it's once again, like you have Terry McLaurin, you have these weapons. Antonio Gibson, like I think he's still running back 1. Like he has a fumble problem, but he's still learning the position. Like, so I've, not going to be like too critical on the guy. So for me, it's like you have this offense. You really have to evaluate to see what kind of fit. And I think Scott Turner knows exactly the kind of quarterback he wants. I don't think Fitzpatrick was it at all. I think we obviously wanted Matt Stafford back in January 31st. That didn't work out. And then to me, that's where I feel like we just fumbled the bag. Like our next plan was Fitzpatrick. Like it should have been the draft. So I don't know. Just for me moving forward, I think it is all about the right fit. Don't get a Haskins because he's a big name, and that's where you feel like you should get him. Like he did not fit at all.
Please, I was gonna say the same thing, that maybe there's not like a super well known big time school quarterback available with this class, which is kind of what I'm looking at. But at the same time, it's fit. It's like Josh is saying, that there are so many other things that can go into that. That you put the right pieces around him, you could have something special. I think some of these quarterbacks can make some plays, and that's where I was gonna say the same thing. I think Scott Turner, with a guy that's athletic, that can make some throws that not everybody can make, I think he can make one of these quarterbacks special, especially when he gets his full complement of weapons, when he has a healthy Curtis Samuel out there, when he has Terry McLaurin and two solid running backs out there. So yeah, I think one of those guys could be exciting. I'm going to leave it up to the coaching staff to figure out who that is, but I definitely think that there is something that they could work with, and that could be a long-term solution just based on what I've seen out there in the college ball.
So Josh, to piggyback on something you stated earlier, if we would have got Mitch for like a 6, what type of so we got Mitch Trubisky with a 6th-round pick. Obviously, we're not looking at him as a franchise quarterback. We're probably looking at him as a spot holder.
He's just insurance. You spend a 5th on Kyle Allen. I think he's better than Kyle Allen. So like a 6th or like a 5th.
Do you have him through? Is it just through this year? I mean, what's the point of bringing What's the point of just bringing Mitchell Trubisky in for the second half of the season? Yeah. That was my I know that didn't happen. We're talking. It's a moot point. But it's like, why have Mitchell Trubisky here?
I think you sign him. Like, he's not going to cost much. Like, if you bring him back, like, next year. I think he would just be good insurance. Like, I'm over the Heinicke.
No,
I'll even say Kyle Allen, but, like, as a backup. Like, if you were to bring him in, you still draft your guy in the draft, and you have Mitch as a backup. Kind of like what he's doing right now with Josh Allen. Like, if your draft guy gets hurt or he's not ready, and you just kind of need to do what we're doing right now, like, sadly, but you at least have a plan in place. I think Mitch would just kind of fill that void, but I think you would have to bring him back. You don't send a pick just for half a year, though.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you spend
hella cap, like, we got plenty of money.
Yeah, you have to make sure you sign him. That's why I think I'm wondering if they really liked him, if you believe that report, whatever it is, you got to think that they were like, okay, we pay a 6th for half a year where he's not really going to contribute, or we wait to the off season, we still like him and can go sign him and still have that 6th-round pick. That's why I'm like, maybe they bring him in the offseason.
But I don't think he's going to be like, hey, I'll go be a backup in Washington. That's the place I want to go.
and that's the thing. Earlier, obviously, they're looking to be aggressive. And that was from Chris Trapasso, I believe, one of the NFL beat writers that pretty much said this morning that the deal was done for us to get Mitch. So I know that Ron wants to be aggressive. Marty and Martin wants to be aggressive. But at the same time, we're being aggressive. Are we moving forward? Right? We need to find someone that, if you're going to be a spy holder, can win us ball games. Because this defense right now, they're not getting the job done. And with Taylor Heinicke, it's pretty much, if you're going to get another Taylor Heinicke, I think we're good with the one we have right now.
Yeah.
So I think
it costs us like $20 in a coupon.
Exactly. So they only got $2 million for 2 years. That was a cheap bargain. But I think that at this point, if we're going to be aggressive, please now make the smart move. You're going into year 3 on a 5-year deal. If you get a quarterback next year in the draft, you bring a placeholder in, then at that point you have 2 more years to make sure this rookie quarterback, will be effective if he sits out next year. And now that's all on you, Ron. Once your 5-year contract is up, then there's nothing you can do. So the next move has to be his best move. I love Ron. I love what he fight through. I love his mindset. I love the change he's made in our culture, even though we got things to get fixed. But where do we go from here?
One thing, though, is you say you're just going to sit him potentially with a placeholder like Fitzpatrick. I think that clock starts ticking a little bit louder and a little bit faster, especially with
Shanahan
the guy.
knows it right now.
Especially with a guy like Mac Jones, who was right there around your pick.
Could have traded up.
And I know Josh loves him and all that. Like, he was right there, and he's been playing pretty well. Had a big win on the road against, I think, a pretty good Chargers team.
Oh, yeah.
You know, if he continues to produce and do well, and we see Justin Fields keeping his team competitive, you know, whatever they're doing in Chicago. But, you know, and then Trevor Lawrence, I think, is still a freak athlete. He's just in a terrible spot in Jacksonville. I think your rookie quarterback has got to contribute. And you're absolutely right. Kyle Shanahan's like, how do I get Trey Lance up to speed? Because the noise is getting pretty loud when I'm not playing my guy, and we see when we see other guys that are already producing. So I get what you're saying, that, you know, maybe you don't feel like a guy is ready right away, but I think that that's going to speed up, and I think that it's going to be real loud if we come next year and, you know, whoever it is, you know, veteran quarterback, whoever it is, has played and they're only about 500. They're going to be saying, well, why isn't that rookie quarterback ready? And you're just going to be back to questioning Ron all over again. But that's my opinion, though.
No, absolutely. Yeah. I believe everybody's opinion is amazing. I just think, how do you sell it to the players? Now, we're fans, right? So, you know, we're here, we're observing from a distance. We're not in the locker room. So how does that affect the players in the locker room? Am I feeling confident going to the season with a rookie quarterback, or do I feel confident with Ryan Fitzpatrick starting or a veteran starting for a year to where we can get some wins and possibly get ourselves in the playoffs? So there's an absolute balance there. If I'm John Allen and if I'm Deron Payne, if I'm older guys, if we bring back Brandon Scherf or, you know, things of that nature, what am I really looking forward to the season? How do I believe? You say one moment you want to make changes at benching Haskins last year, that you want to win games. Now you're saying that you're going to bring a rookie quarterback in here, which I believe is a great move, which you should do. And we're going to start him right off the gate. It's the NFL now. It's going to be tough. We're going to be losing a lot of games if we do that, regardless if he's Russell Wilson, regardless if he's let's go freaking Patrick Mahomes, and he sits a year. So it's more so we need someone in that position to make plays and help us win ball games. Because if we're coming in and we're working hard in the summer, and then it's training camp where it's hot and smoking and we're sweating and we're looking towards the season, we're not going to be motivated. And the words that you're saying is starting to derail us and it's starting to go in the other direction.
Yeah, but like for me, and we kind of saw how, you know, Chase Young pointing at Taylor Heinicke's jersey, like when he makes big plays. I think this team would absolutely get behind a young baller like a Matt Corral, who just makes big, exciting plays, gets the team fired up. Malik Willis, Kenny Pickett, you know, you name it, not Desmond Ridder. But like there's guys out here. I think that's exactly what Ron needs to do, is get a young baller in here who's going to make big plays, get this team excited again, get the fans excited. Like bring us to FedEx. Like you want me in FedEx next year? Give me hope with the franchise quarterback that I know a lot about. That I'm like, yeah, Matt Corral, that boy, he's gonna be clean. Like he's gonna be nice in the league. Like I'm looking forward to it.
That boy, good.
But like I said, the bye week is coming up. Washington practices tomorrow. Oh wait, no, Ron canceled that.
Ron canceled that one.
Somebody came in the office and said, "Yeah, no."
Said something the day before. He doesn't care about what they think. Then the next morning he said, "Oh yeah, we canceled it." Then I look on Instagram. Deron Payne and all them are at freaking Top Golf having a great time, and you're 2-6.
They knew that.
I'm not mad at that. You're human. You got to have fun, man. Have a blast. But, man, dang, 2-6. We're at Top Golf. I need to be in the film room somewhere.
That's what I'm saying. I'm sure players are already in, like, Florida, everywhere else right now.
Yeah,
they knew they weren't going to practice.
They're home now.
But, guys, I appreciate y'all coming on. Darnell, let everybody know where they can follow you on Twitter.
Yeah, man. So you can follow me on Twitter at BigDap_, on Instagram at BigDap. That's my nickname. Also, you know, coaching here at George C. Marshall High School in Falls Church, Virginia. So stop by a game. We got a game this Friday at Herndon in Virginia. Again, I'm trying to get in this podcast world, man, trying to start my own podcast. So the Big Dap podcast will be coming soon. I would love to be back on this platform. I actually listen to the Burgundy Network podcast myself. If you're not listening, you better tune in. This stuff is great, man.
Appreciate it. Brian, any big plans for the bye week? Are you just kind of doing what the players are doing? Just kind of going out?
Yeah, I feel like we all need a breather from this team, right? To go watch Red Zone and not worry about what this team is doing wrong or how they're finding a new way to lose. So, yeah, I'm going to take a breather and probably step back from the Washington football team and just kind of breathe some fresh air.
Watch some college football, man.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna call a timeout on Washington. I'm moving this weekend.
I'm retiring for the weekend.
Yeah, Alabama and LSU. Looking forward to that. But guys, like I said, appreciate y'all tuning in. Might drop something for y'all. I don't know. I might, you know, like I said, I'm moving this weekend. I'm gonna be busy, but I might, you know, look at some quarterback tapes.
Man, drop it, man. We need the gems, man.
We need hope. We need.
That's what we need.
Ron, we need hope, man. So I'm gonna do it. I'm going to take one for the team. But, guys, appreciate it. Like I said, sign up on BetOnline. Get in all the action, even if it's not Washington. The Wizards are killing it right now. I'll be at that game Friday, too. Wizards. I'll be repping my Grizzlies,
5-2, baby. 5-2.
Sorry to the Wizards fans out there. I got to be repping my Grizzlies. See my guy John Morant in person.
Gosh.
I'm excited.
Yo, Grizzlies fan, Josh?
Love John. Look, I'm a South Carolina boy. He's a South Carolina boy. I've always
shout out South Carolina, man. Shout out
exactly. Appreciate it. But guys, we will see y'all next week. Peace.
Peace.